Good morning, everybody. I'm Professor Parul Shukla from New York, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this very special edition of SFS Grand Rounds. Today, we are honored to have with us a pioneer, visionary, and disruptor in the world of robotic surgery, Dr. Sudhir Srivastava. He's the founder of SS Innovations and inventor of the SS Mantra surgical robotic platform. Through his bold innovations, including the latest release of the Mantrasana telesurgery enabling chair, he's opened the door for thousands of surgeons worldwide to access cutting edge robotic surgery. This session is part of our fireside chat series designed to go beyond lectures, to inspire, to challenge, and to illuminate the paths being forged across surgical frontiers. So, Dr. Srivastava, welcome.
Thank you, Parul. It is my honor and privilege to participate, and I've heard about your program. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to have this dialogue and let people know how things are progressing in the world of robotic surgery and where it is heading. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. So let's begin at the beginning. What inspired you to take on the giants of surgical robotics world? Were there any gaps of frustration which led you to identify to create SS Mantra?
Great opening question. I lived in US after my graduation, and after all the training between St. Louis and Vancouver, moved back to Texas and then West Texas, Odessa, Texas, where in fact we built our own hospital. And my main interest at the time was to really advance the field of cardiovascular surgery in the minimally invasive technique. And then the robot was approved. So in fact, 2002, I got involved with the robotic using, of course, the Da Vinci system, but that was the only one that was available then. And our center literally became known as the robotic center of the world in a small town of 100,000 population in West Texas or Midland, Odessa area. And we just pushed the envelope. I was part of the trial for Da Vinci for both uh, endoscopic bypass surgery, totally endoscopic bypass surgery. It was on the arrested heart and then also atrial fibrillation. Both were subsequently approved. And so did a lot of world's first cases. And then from Odessa, moved on to University of Chicago. I was on the faculty there and a director of robotic surgery and continued to really launch and teach actually. And then got invited to this St. Joe's Hospital, which is now part of Emory system, and created this International College of Robotic Surgery. I was the founding president. And really the whole idea was to take this message beyond that. So what really impressed me about the robotic approach was that, for cardiac surgery, which generally is maximally invasive, the splitting of the sternum and recovery is patient's problem. And so late 90s, I got involved with, trying to find a way to avoid sternum, did all kinds of cases. And so what I saw benefits with robotic surgery that almost 20% of my patients went home next day after bypass surgery, 50% 2 days or less, and all comers were like 3.2 days. And so I used to operate in India. Used to go to Sai Baba Hospital in Puttaparthi every year for almost 7 years, and then launched actually the first robotic surgery in the country back in 2002 with Dr. Trehan at Escorts Hospital. So along the way, invitation came from Fortis Hospital Group in India. And really, the idea was to launch 10 programs in the country. So many times people ask, what brought you back? And, I'll get into as to what changed me from heart surgery to technology. And I have got simply two words that I always have used. One is the love for motherland, which we are always grateful, for our roots, and then destiny. And in the end, so here in 2011, moved to India with bags and baggages and family. I didn't investigate the business culture, unfortunately, at the time. and purchased the robot myself. And these were very early days of robotics in the country. There were only 7 or 8 systems, and mostly were kind of just sitting idle. So we started the program and very quickly found, because of the cost, the patients in India could not actually benefit from surgery, robotic surgery. And of course, I did a bunch of cardiac cases. We trained all different other specialties as well. But the biggest challenge was converting from laparoscopy to robotic with extra cost of several lakh rupees that the hospital wanted to charge. And what changed me, I'll share a little story. I had a patient with atrial septal defect, 22-year-old female, that came with her brother. Brother saying that if she has a scar in front of the chest for sternotomy, probably for cultural reasons and local reasons, she may not get married. And if you could do it robotically, and she was absolutely a perfect candidate for robotic closure of ASD. And we would have done the surgery through 4 tiny fingertip-sized incision on the right side of the chest where nobody will ever know. Except they didn't have money. Hospital wanted to charge 4 lakh or 400,000 rupees, and which they didn't have. I offered my services free, but then hospital said, no, we need money, being a corporate policy, etc. And then brother tried to raise money. He called me a month later that he was still struggling. And then I never heard from him. And I must say, this was around, I think, 2012 by then. It really pained me. And I made a commitment that we must do something, that because of money, patients cannot get the best possible care. And I used to talk to, right up to Lonnie Smith of Intuitive those days when I was in US, that why don't you guys create an affordable system? It's a wonderful way of doing least invasive surgery in very complex cases, including cardiac. That and by that time I had done like 1,400 robotic cardiac cases, 800 totally endoscopy bypass surgery. So while in US that was the world record, and so it was really feeling bad that we cannot extend, and there is a several tier healthcare system which should not be. Every patient should get the best possible thing. So I made a commitment that I must do something. So used up almost $4.5 million of my life saving from being a cardiac surgeon in US, and went to Germany initially thinking that engineering in Germany is good, and we didn't succeed actually. We lost a lot of money, not just mine but many others from US, friends of mine. And the guys from US went back to Florida, started a company. I came back to India and put a team together of 10 engineers who worked out of my home. And by this time, I was not practicing. Dr. Trehan actually purchased from Fortis. We moved to Medanta, but the same issue because of the cost. And it was very frustrating for me that we could not do it. And so money got finished. Uh, Tried to raise money in India, didn't succeed, went to the government, although Make in India initiative was announced by our Prime Minister Modi ji at the time, but there was nothing else there. And so borrowed money from my US buddies, telling that I'll come back if I fail and pay you back. They trusted me, sold my car, sold my furniture. So just persisted through a lot of challenges. And finally, we got funding, I think, some point in 2017, and then got hit with COVID in 2019. And again, money flow stopped, and it was, I emptied my bank accounts. Again, did whatever. I just didn't want to give up because, and family went back to US. And Vishwa, as you know, he will be talking to you. He used to tell me, Dad, you've tried everything. Why don't you just come back? And every time I will tell him that, give me another 45 days. And then one day he says, Dad, how many 45 days have gone by? And I said, look, if I give up now, forget about the money or time, but the vision for the patients of an affordable system will be gone. And Da Vinci, of course, they were enjoying the monopoly and had no interest really in doing anything else. And no other company was actually getting into the development of robotics, either because of the fear of the gorilla or patent issues, etc. I must say that once we got, and finally in 21, we created a mantra system, a young team of engineers who knew nothing about robotics, forget about surgical robotics. So with my clinical experience and the end user in the end, I knew what we needed. I did not need to call surgeons to test and tell us, is it okay or not? So we just pushed it, and must say, I'm very proud of our Indian team of young engineers who worked day and night, literally, and I used to be with them. And so we created Mantra 2 system, did the clinical trial, and launched actually in 22 commercially. We got the CDSCO approval. And then in 24, in January, I was getting all, we organized a conference and everybody was giving me some ideas. And I said, look, I already have some very disruptive ideas and just give me time. So believe it or not, made a commitment in January to create the next generation of Mantra 3. So entirely new generation was created by our team in 5 months. Unbelievable. And normally it takes many years for robotic companies to develop. It's very complex technology and all kinds of things, and they must work together in absolute sync with precision that is translated into the patient's body. So we really succeeded, and then always my goal was one to not copy Da Vinci, because many other companies, as you may know, in the world, they have literally copied XI or SI, and also make it hopefully better, because we are entering a field which is very well known at this time. And I'm always grateful to Dr. Fred Moll, for having brought a different approach whereby we could do complex operations, including cardiac surgery through tiny holes. And in fact, as you may know, Fred Moll is now part of us, and he's on our board and vice chairman. And it's wonderful to have Fred with us. Anyway, so we
So that's
just
that's
persisted,
a
right?
such a
And that's what
such
really
a
got me from being a cardiac surgeon into technology. And a long answer for your question. So,
no, it's I think it's so illuminating, and also the fact that you were so determined to bring this technology to markets where affordability was key. Um, so, can you please tell me what are the unique capabilities of the SS Mantra platform? Are there any key design principles that allow the system to be more affordable and scalable? And
yeah,
what role would the Mantrasana chair play in that telesurgery pathway? So, there are
sure.
basically parts to my question, if you don't
Right.
mind.
Yeah, certainly. So the whole idea in terms of when we were thinking of design, although Da Vinci is a great system, but there were opportunities to always get better. And I always say, best is enemy of better. There's always another way. And with time we learn, and sometimes monopolies don't always have incentive to innovate a lot. So basically using, so our console design right from the beginning, we made it very ergonomic, where you get to sit straight with a large monitor, 4K resolution, another two large 21-inch 2D monitor. You can literally pull the images in meaningful way and convert them into 3D model. Our team has done a great job whereby anatomy is right in front of you, and very lightweight and controls magnetic sensor based, less than 80 grams in your hand. And ours is the only console in the world that we can control up to 5 arms. And then the other thing was that to add 3D vision for the tableside team. I was operating in South Korea back, I think, in 2008. A nurse put knife right through the heart. I asked what happened. I couldn't tell the difference, in terms of the depth. And so, 3D, of course, is very important for precision. And so right in the beginning, we have created a vision card with same 3D monitor that the surgeon has. So there are no accidents. The learning curve for the team is shortened, and if you're training people, they are seeing the same thing what the surgeon is seeing. So it's not that with the Da Vinci only, the surgeon sees 3D hunched over. And then the modular design of robotic arms. So one of the challenges that we used to find, especially when doing cardiac surgery in small chest, etc., that there will be collision of the arms and also docking, etc. So you're kind of limited because the design is central beam and then all the four arms are mounted on it. So you don't have the flexibility, although of course people do cases, so that's not the issue. But at times, that will be a challenge. And then you are stuck only with the four arms. You cannot add the fifth arm on that particular design. So what we have done, we have created robotic arms that are mounted separately on each cart. So you can place them wherever, and the instruments are long, so they will reach from wherever. And of course, you need to plan this thing in relation to the target anatomy. And so you can use 3, 4, or up to 5 arms with our system. And the other thing is now we have done more than 100 types of cases, anything from mouth down to pelvis and all in between, of course, soft tissue only. And so we looked at, I wanted to see how many of those procedures can be done with 3 arms. We found 70 of those procedures actually can be done with 3 arms. So what we have found subsequently that smaller hospitals, particularly in India, that are owned by, husband-wife team and 30, 40, 50, 100 bed hospital, and they purchase 3 arm system for their needs. So it meets their budget and it allows them to use their capabilities. And when they need to add extra arm, all they have to do is buy another one, and it's already reconfigured actually to be part of the system. And then the 5th arm, we have developed some automated enabling technology, particularly a automated coronary connector to do the anastomosis literally in 6 seconds. So we'll use the 5th arm. So literally the idea was how we can advance and help the surgeon, literally not just with the design that what we have created in our system. Surgeon sees everything in front, hands and feet and the room. You just have to turn your head. And so the idea was to do that and make it better. So what we have achieved actually now, our technology is superior. Of course, I am biased, but I can tell you as a robotic surgeon, sometimes I put my SSI hat away and I'm still a surgeon. And so it's really, with all these advanced features, and most importantly for me was to make it cost effective, which we succeeded. So our system today, if you compare with the DB5, is almost 25 to 30% the cost of the DB5. And so suddenly it becomes very affordable. And so
Yes.
more people can benefit from him. And then on top of that, of course, we did cardiac surgery very successfully. We now have done almost 7,000 cases, 350 cardiac cases with absolutely wonderful results, zero device related anything, no mortality, complication, or injuries. A record that is really envious for a lot of people. Secondly, we introduced telesurgery because this was always my goal, because one of the biggest challenges is finding proctors, because people have to fly and not knowing it is costly, inefficient, time-wise. You don't know how long the surgeon will take at the other end, etc. So what we did actually, we initiated with the teleproctoring first, and we created these glasses that with proprietary software that our team developed. And then I literally sitting in my office having lunch, I was proctoring cardiac cases in Ahmedabad, Bangalore, wherever. So I don't have to travel. And I see everything they see. It's like the old Tom Cruise's Minority Report, multiple screen, and you can manipulate them, telestrate, etc. And then the next step was telesurgery. So we took that very responsibly, whereby we, of course, tested in our lab. Then we did animal trials, then clinical trial. And we were the first one in the world, actually, back in November of last year, to have received CDSCO, which is the Indian regulatory body approval both for teleproctoring and telesurgery. Since then, we have done now more than 80 plus cases every week. So we always say plus because every week somebody else is doing something. And Dr. Rawal just did one I think in a live transmission in a conference from our office. So all that has been going on. So initially, some of the surgeons will actually come to our office and to operate, because that was the kind of a hub for telesurgery. And so I always had this idea, and during my presentations, I used to make a comment, partially joking, that one of these days I'll operate from my bedroom. And so anyway, we have developed this mantrasana, as we call it. We have used Sanskrit words for all our thing, because very proud of what an Indian team has done. And of course, our heritage with languages, etc. So everything is a Sanskrit type of thing. So this chair is self-contained surgeon console, whereby wearing glasses, not even a monitor, beautiful resolution, magnified, and then hand controls are there, magnetic sensor based. Computers are underneath the chair. There is a foot tray that goes in and out. and then there's another 2D monitor. So we didn't compromise the functionality, except we compressed it, whereby now it is portable. And I think 2.5 weeks ago, I operated from my living room, did a cardiac case in Jaipur, 300 kilometers away. And now a bunch of others have done. And this is
Amazing.
going to be absolutely revolutionary, that you don't have to tie up the operating room, because that's where generally the system sits. Secondly, you can place these in doctors' offices, so they don't have to go anywhere, or their homes, or in the clinics. So people can operate from wherever and give this expertise to many patients. Actually, one can do 2 or 3 cases without having to travel. So the combination of teleproctoring and telesurgery is great. You can guide them, and when help is needed, you take over and do the job. So I think this is really a wonderful approach for expanding and bringing what I call this concept of decentralizing and democratizing access. We also have a bus. We have a system which you can sit and do telesurgery from the bus itself. Our next project is to actually create a mobile operating room with all the standards, and then this like surgery at your doorsteps. So we'll hold camps actually. So a lot of ideas for us is humanitarian. And that's what really be driving me at a personal level. The need is there. Unfortunately, monopolies don't look at beyond money many times. And of course, Intuitive is a great company. But I think it is high time that we look at things differently, and we have done it. So we are very proud of our team, first of all, that is so dedicated, work weekends, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Well,
So,
congratulations. This is the future, but the future is here. Just a follow-up question on telesurgery. How close are we to telesurgery becoming safe and routine part of surgical care?
so what we have done now, 80 plus cases, there is never a single conversion, no adverse event because of telesurgery. Latency is very low, 40 to 50 milliseconds, which is like around 1/15th of a second. You don't even perceive. The longest one that I did personally, I was in Strasbourg in France, and the patient in Indore, almost 10,000 kilometers of communication distance. And the latency was very acceptable, 120 or 130 milliseconds, which again, brain doesn't register at all. So essentially, it's absolutely safe. And of course, there are three important requirements for it. One, of course, the surgeon must be trained on our system, use, and must have the expertise in the robotic, specialty particularly. Secondly, you need the transmission, which is absolutely available today. We use fiber, which is very cyber secure, and it is a point-to-point transmission with very low latency. Third is you must have, of course, mantra system at the other end, and a trained team for any eventuality that may occur, so that the patient safety is never compromised. So I can tell you today with absolute confidence, it is safe, it is effective, and very efficient actually. You can guide the surgeon up to a point. You don't have to do everything. If there are some main parts of the challenging steps, expert surgeon can do. And now the best thing that is happening in India, the surgeons are collaborating with each other in different hospitals. A general surgeon is giving his expertise to from Muradabad to Hyderabad in a urology center. Same thing, urology center expert is operating a long distance in Muradabad. And this really was the vision, that how we can take this expertise and actually use it, and not for commercial reasons, but just for, so the patients don't have to travel. The hospitals don't have to lose that patient, go somewhere else. And it's not very convenient for patients and the families to travel and all this thing. So I think that is really the longer term vision for us, not only for teaching and training, but extend the expertise.
Thank you. I'm going to move to a question which will be of great interest to our audience, and that's about access and training. For surgical trainees, how can they get started? For experienced surgeons, how can they reskill? for underserved regions, how can these programs be implemented? If you could please speak to these,
Sure.
because a lot of inquiries are going to come to us about how do we train. So I want to from them for them to hear from you directly.
So firstly, we have a very organized training curriculum whereby 2 days of training, didactic hands-on, then practice, and then a test. So we give them certificate of training. Normally it takes roughly about 2 days to achieve, and a lot of times we do it once the system is installed. Although a lot of people come to us for facility in Gurgaon to system. Beyond that, we ask them actually to practice at least an hour a day. And in 7 days, things, the automaticity will gradually start to come. We tell them also that we are not teaching you surgery. We are teaching you how to use the system to, do the same procedure that you have been doing all these years. And, to be able to use the system safely, effectively, and efficiently. Of course, it takes, roughly, I would say, based on different skill level of the surgeon and commitment, on average, 10 to 20 cases of different kinds, whereby, everything becomes automatic. And I think on top of that, this whole teleproctoring and telesurgery programs are very helpful for, people when we are launching program. The other thing what we are doing also, so we have created this thing called International Center for Robotic Surgery, a teaching institute actually, whereby hopefully in January I will be starting with the cardiac 5 day absolutely curriculum. So we have created a classroom where 40 to 50 people can actually, and they go through each different specialty. So there will be 5 day courses for cardiac or urology or gynae, general surgery, etc., whereby we will take them through every little detail and steps actually. And also we have a digital wall, almost like close to 18 or 20 feet, whereby we will pull the live transmissions of cases, whereby, and they can interact with these expert robotic surgeons. So they don't have to go into the operating room because it's not always easy, travel and congested and on and on. So this way we can actually bring that using the technology to the masses. And I think this has been always the vision. The only way we can help the masses today is through technology, whether they are patients or people who are trying to learn. And the learning curve is very short with our system because of all the technology attributes that we have considered in terms of making it easier for them to adopt. Yes.
That's great. You know, if we have inquiries from our members and audience who have either expressed interest in the system, the SSI system, or in training, what we will do is in the chat section of our call, we will put in some details for contacts. My personal request to you is that if you hear from any of our members, please do consider them if there are any difficulties they're having to help them with whatever you can, because I'll tell you, we have an audience spanning from the Caribbean countries to Africa to Middle East to parts of Asia, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest coming up, even from Europe, once people listen to your vision. So
Yeah,
that's
thank you.
my
And we're on the
request to
same
you.
mission. Yes, our mission is global and patients are everywhere. So although India has been our focus right now because that's where became the launch platform, but literally we in fact are getting inquiries for because of the features and the affordability factor, and because almost 7 billion people today do not have easy access to this wonderful technology. So yes, I'm absolutely passionate about, I used to travel all over the world. Now I don't have to. I can sit in my office and do whatever I need to do. So once, so thank you first of all for this
And,
privilege
for
actually. Yes,
no, thank you. For our audience to get to know you a little better, if you don't mind, I'm going to do just a few quick fire questions just to get
sure.
you know. So,
Good.
is there any one innovation you admire?
I think AI and machine learning that is in the pipeline will absolutely change the world, how things will be done, whereby it will enhance actually I know people call it artificial intelligence. I generally use the term augmented intelligence actually for us. That will help actually. Of course, it is introduced by humans only initially. So it really will help us actually. And the machine learning, all this is in the pipeline. And I think in the next 5 years, we will see a tremendous actually use of this thing in every field, and of course in robotic world as well. Uh,
Great, thank you. What is the biggest myth about robotic surgery in a
I think
negative fashion, which people
yeah,
should get over?
I think the biggest myth is, and generally, unfortunately, it comes from our colleagues. Oh, you don't want robot operating on you. You want a human one standing next to you, hands there on you. Myth is the robot is operating because people have the impression of car manufacturing or PCB manufacturing, etc., where robotic arms are doing things automatically through programming. Robot is a tool today, at least in surgeon science, like all other instruments. The robot is not doing anything at all unless the surgeon does. So essentially, it's a very sophisticated tool in surgeon's hand, whereby all kinds of very complex operation with otherwise will be difficult, even including laparoscopic approach. So robot attributes actually of high magnified 3D view. You get to sit and operate. Tremors are filtered. The tip of instrument behave like human wrist, and you can do complex operation through tiny holes that translate into less trauma, less pain, blood transfusion, all kinds of benefits. And the best thing is these people recover very, very fast. And so there's a huge social, economic, family stress factor benefit, and ultimately it will benefit the entire healthcare system. Yes.
Great. No, I think that's a great way to address people's concerns. So I think I know the answer to my next question, but I would like to ask it anyway. What
Yeah.
drives you more, innovation or access?
Innovation provides access. How is that? We have
Perfect.
a closing statement, being around Sai Baba, I stole part of his thing, that as instruments of God, love all and serve all, uh, quality and care through innovation and compassion.
That's great. And my last rapid fire question is, for you, what does success look in 5 years from now?
I think my wish list, let me put it this way, every operating room will have a cost-effective robotic system for every specialty and customized instrumentation to help them. Secondly, global reach from wherever. I think with the satellite communication, and I know Starlink is providing, and it's coming in India as well, to be able to operate and bring the care to the doors, and also a lot of things that we are working on with single arm application for diagnosis, ultrasound, biopsies, uh, uh, targeted therapies, etc. So we can put these things in the vans and literally take wherever, whole camp. So I think the biggest aim there is early diagnosis and early treatment, because this will actually decentralize and democratize access and really improve the healthcare, because it's only through technology we will be able to help masses. And if technology is not affordable, that we have seen, it will not reach most.
That's great. So, Dr. Srivastava, it has been an absolute honor to speak with you. Thank you for your time, your bold thinking, your commitment to equity to surgical care. Your work resonates very deeply with our mission at SFS to build a global, connected, and empowered surgical community. Last word is yours.
Well, thank you very much. Namaskar and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. And for our audience, we'll be taking Q&As from Vishwa after this. So thank you
Okay.
again.
Yes, thank you, Parul.